Hello and welcome to All About Billings. We are a show dedicated to discovering the people that make Billings a great place to work and live. We will interview local business people, community leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and entertainers and learn from their successes, their failures, and their connection to Billings. I'm your host, Nancy Brooke, broker and owner of Billings Best Real Estate. And today it is my pleasure to have as our guest Sarah Kennedy. Now let me tell you a little bit about Sarah. Sarah was born and raised in Billings, and she has been passionate about fitness for most of her life and also dance. She spent a few years in Costa Rica, which inspired her to the phrase they have there, the Pura Vida, which means pure life. And as a result, she combined her passions to open Pura Vida Studio here in Billings. Well, welcome to the show, Sarah.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
It's so wonderful to meet you. You know, I really don't know much about your studio, so I'm excited to hear about that. But first, let's get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely.
So you were born and raised in Billings.
Yep, born and raised here in Billings.
Okay, and where'd you graduate?
I graduated West High, so West High Bears.
Woohoo,
Yep,
go Bears.
I know.
Go Golden Bears,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yep.
So what was your growing up like here?
Amazing. Growing up here, family, friends. It's a beautiful, obviously, mountain state, so spent a lot of time outdoors. I played sports in high school, a little bit of college.
Okay.
And then went to college here at MSUB Billings as well.
Okay.
So went there for organizational communications and Spanish, which also has that connection to my studio as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you are a trainer, right? A personal trainer as well?
I am,
okay.
yes. So I'm a personal trainer and group fitness instructor. I primarily teach Zumba fitness, boot camp, dance fitness styles. I've been a personal trainer for about 8 years as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, a lot of people, I have a lot of friends who are trainers or maybe work at, you know, a gym and train people. But to open your own studio, I mean, that's pretty gutsy, right? I mean,
I think so.
What gave you the courage to do that? Because it's a big risk, right?
It was a big risk, yeah. And I actually opened in 2020, so obviously we know that year very well.
Wow.
So it was definitely a trying time, but it almost came at a very universal time. It was alignment for sure. But what brought me into opening my own studio was the desire to have collaboration and community. I've done the teaching in a gym.
Yeah.
I've taught renting space other places, but I always wanted a place to call my own, like really call my own, have a place where people were like-minded and shared in the same passion, and that's really what the space is all about. It's to make it your own space when you're using it and utilizing it.
So you don't just teach classes there, but it also is a studio that people can rent. So tell us just how the whole studio works.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the primary focus, actually. So I'm really glad you asked that, because I get caught up in like, there's fitness classes and I teach there. But really what it's about is I rent the space to other instructors. So it's set up really nicely in a way that they just pay a base rent and then they get to make their own income off their classes. Right now we have things like Zumba, boot camp, yoga, actually different variations of yoga, warm yoga, holy yoga, Spartan training classes. Most recently, we have silver sneakers on board. So they find the space and they rent it from me, and then they just get to bring in their clients and operate their business. So it's kind of entrepreneur helping other entrepreneurs. It's kind of how I look at that.
I have never heard of, I guess, a fitness center studio being something you could rent. Because you hear that all the time, like with hair salons.
Yes.
Or nail technicians rent their booth space, right? And then they make what they make, they pay a rent. So what inspired you to come up with this idea? It seems pretty innovative.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, it's been a passion in the making. I call it my passion project. I think, like I said, I've just always kind of longed for something more is what it's been feeling like. I think over the years of, again, teaching in other locations, I've had great opportunities and great moments in other, facilities, but it was just something that it was calling, like I said, I really wanted a place to be able to, I know what it feels like to grow your business and try really hard to do that. So it's a stepping stone for other people. Again, it's a really great community venue. We've had things, just most recently, like an animal shelter rescue. We did a fundraiser for them and helped with the puppies and, you know, raise money for their organization. So it's a place that to do things like that. It's not just fitness. It's also a place for if you have a workshop or an event that you want to host. It's a great place for that because it's a nice open floor space.
Well, and I don't want to brush aside that you started in 2020. So were your plans happening before the pandemic hit, or did you just have time on your hands and came up with ideas since you couldn't meet with people?
That's a good question, and probably a lot of time on my hands. No, again, something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and almost like that perfect moment came. I mean, if I'm being really honest and transparent, rent was pretty low at the time because if you think about it, a lot of people were unfortunately struggling during that time, you know, and some people closing their businesses, closing their doors, which was really unfortunate. But a lot of, on the flip side, you know, people wanted to still make income and landlords were looking for people to rent space. And I just thought this might be a good time to take that risk. So it was very risky because nothing was open, but I used that opportunity to renovate and remodel during that time.
So is it just you that is the owner?
Wow. I cannot, but however, I cannot.
I mean, that's
Thank you.
Pretty, I mean, but that's really cool to take on something like that, to commit to renting space, to develop a studio, to renovate it. I mean, that takes a lot of guts. It really does.
And I was just going to say, but I have to say, like, renovation and remodel was absolutely the help of many, many hands, not just myself. But we did a lot of it ourselves. So that was come from a family of fixer-uppers and things like that. So I was lucky there. And we did a lot of it ourselves. But, yes, I am the owner, sole owner.
Well, and you said 1,500 square feet of floor space.
Yep.
And you said it's wide open?
Yes, so it's an open floor format, and it has beautiful epoxy floors in there. So that was the most recent remodel we did this past year because I just found that to make it more robust and universal for other formats or other events, that was something I needed to upgrade. So full body mirrors, there's equipment in there if you'd like to do fitness classes, sound system, dimmable lights. It's a really, really beautiful space.
So when you made the decision to do this business, what inspired you to come up with this idea to begin with? I mean, where did that, obviously you had a passion for fitness, you wanted to help other people, but how did you put it all together in your mind?
That's a really good question. Well, the name itself, it really came from my time in Costa Rica, is really where I would say, I use the word catalyst, like where that developed and that passion kind of started to come from. So I love movement and I love dance. That's my primary form of fitness that I most enjoy is dance. And so when I was in Costa Rica, I actually got introduced to a lot of different formats, which led me to Zumba. So if anyone's familiar with Zumba fitness, that's a Latin dance-based fitness format. And so from there, it just kind of was growing inside of me that I wanted to teach it, that I really enjoyed movement. You know, I look at movement as preventative care as well. That's a big piece of why I find it so important. And so from Costa Rica, coming back to Montana, I really loved their lifestyle as well. You know, immersing yourself in a culture and learning about how they live and how they do life is just a really great experience. And they lived very healthy and very simple. And that was something I wanted to bring back as well to Billings. And so just kind of over the years that kind of formulated and grew and grew. And, you know, my passion for other formats came on board as well. And it just kind of developed over time.
So it really was something, like you said, a catalyst that was building.
Absolutely.
And then come 2020, you just finally said, hey, why not?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was in Costa Rica at this time, close to 10 years ago at this point. So, and I spent about 3 years there, came back, and yep, absolutely from then it was just something that continued to grow, and it was something I wanted to see happen. I thought also it was needed in Billings, a space like this. You know, there are rental venues, but particular, like you mentioned earlier, to fitness, there really is nothing quite like it. And there's a lot of fitness instructors in Billings and surrounding areas that are looking for that first step and that place to teach, really.
Well, and even I know, like there are people who do Reiki who,
yes,
like group Reiki, and
yes,
they maybe need spaces, or people
love
who
that.
do sound healing. I mean, there's different types of modalities aside from fitness that also could use a space like that.
Yeah, no, I'm again glad you brought that up, because that's a huge piece of it as well. There, really, it can be used for anything. Pilates could go in there. Reiki is actually a great one. Like workshops, if you were a photographer and wanted a space to set up and needed that extra space, it's a great space for that. So it can be really, if you're creative, like I always say, like it's a place to empower your creative vision. So if you have something, an idea, like come talk to me. I'm happy to show you the space and see if it works for you.
Okay, before we move on, I really wanted to talk about your time in Costa Rica, because I know you mentioned that you were there for 3 years, and before the show, you really had a lot of fascinating information to share. So tell us about your time there.
Yeah, so I went to school for Spanish, actually. I've always been gravitated to the Latin culture, and I actually got to do a study abroad originally. So that's what introduced me to the country, and I just fell in love, like many, many people, if they've ever visited. And I just decided, I was young, and I was like, why not? Let's try it. And so I actually looked for work. So I actually spent time looking for work before I went down there, and I got a job as a tour guide, which was really, really cool, at a like an adventure stop. So they did like paddle boarding, mountain biking, it was just, I'm trying to think, kayaking, things of that nature. And so I actually was hired on for that position, and I was very fortunate for that. And so I got to spend time there, lived on a very small beach town, and got to utilize the Spanish that I learned for many, many years. So it was really neat. Really neat.
And you did mention you lived like a local, so you were earning local wages, you were trying to make ends meet, trying to find, obviously you had to find a place to live.
I know, yes. Yeah.
Local food, everything.
The local food was amazing, though. Yeah. I gotta say, everything was fresh, amazing. Markets, fruit, fish, it was delicious. But I did, yeah. So that's challenging. So I always encourage some people, if they're very interested in moving, you have to try it like a local, because there were some challenging days, made their wages, but it gave me a lot of perspective about life, especially at that age, and what you have to do to make ends meet. So it was also a blessing. It really was.
So what does the pure life or Pura Vida mean to you?
Yeah.
Because obviously that must have inspired you coming back.
It did. So I always say it's kind of like their unofficial slogan. I don't think it's truly their slogan, but you can find it everywhere, anywhere. People use it in their everyday life. It directly translates to pure life, but a more broad definition would be living a simple life, living a happy, simple life with family, friends. They often use it as how we would say hi or goodbye. You could use that phrase when you're kind of leaving or saying, greeting somebody. So that just, the meaning and the living simpler really connected with me. And then it is something very vibrant and common when you're there.
So you say living simply. What's the difference between people living there and people living in Montana's not the most high stress place, but let's say even in Montana.
Yeah, but you nailed it right there. I think we're a very go culture, and I think there is something to be noted in slowing down, taking your time, taking time for yourself. And I think that's harder just in a U.S. culture. I just think it is. We're very go, kind of what's the next thing. And just there was, you walked a lot more, again, depending on the regions you're in here, of course, but you walk a lot more. There's, some really healthy food options available. Activity is different. So it was just very, very relaxed a lot of the time.
Did you miss the high stress pace though? I mean, was there a part of you that's like, wait a minute, this is so slow?
Too slow. I did, because I am definitely I'm someone who I like to accomplish, I like to complete tasks, I like to, I hate to say it, but I'm a bit of an overthinker as well. So yeah, absolutely. And this is my home, so absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you were there for 3 years. Why did you decide to come back? What was it that drew you back? And you didn't go somewhere else. You went to Montana.
I did. I came home, and that's it right there. I'm from here. My family, my closest family, is here, and I love it here. I do. You know, and as I've gotten older, I've been able to see a lot more of like Western Montana, which it's dreamy, right? It's a beautiful state. So just being home, missing home.
Yeah.
Well, it was time. It felt right. Yeah.
So how has Billings responded to this real new concept that you're offering?
Yeah, I think really, really well. And that's what's been really encouraging. And I just love seeing the support and the fact that I'm adding value to the community. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I want to make sure that I'm adding value. And people, it was slow roll to kind of get started, just like any business, right? Like, how are you going to advertise? How are you going to share about what you do? And I think a lot of people didn't quite understand it, which I'm perfecting more and more on how to explain it. People think it's a gym oftentimes, like, oh, I can come take a class, which you can, but it's really more focused on the entrepreneurs looking to kind of step out, or like I said, rent the space for an event or offering. So but they've been really receptive. When people find it, they share that they're excited about it, that it's a good fit. And I've had some people there since I've opened. So it's been really wonderful.
So how did you go about growing the business? Getting the word out and all that?
Yeah, a lot of it has been word of mouth. You know, I do kind of your typical advertising. I'm in that age group. I do a lot of like social media advertising and marketing is primarily. I've been, able to do things like this and other community avenues, which has been really helpful, but it's been a lot of word of mouth. Current instructors, or if you go to classes there, a lot of people will say, hey, I went to a class here or whatnot, and then I get a lot of inquiries that way. Yeah.
So what has been your biggest challenge with starting the business? And I guess, those times where maybe you're going, why did I do this?
Right, that right there. Why did I do this? The fact that it's all you. It's all you when you're running your own business. So it can be very overwhelming at times. The growth, like you already mentioned earlier, that's been a challenge at times. I mean, you have to constantly be finding a customer base and continuing to add that value and show that, so people want to come to your space and be the premier location for these kind of activities. So those would be the biggest ones. And again, opening at the time that I did, I think created a little bit of a challenge too. So yeah.
So when did you feel like you kind of turned the corner?
Have I yet?
When will you know you turned the corner?
No, I do. I absolutely do. This past year has definitely been the most, in most cases, right? I've been at it now about 4 years, so this past year has definitely felt the most successful. But it's also because I've done other enhancements, like I've created a really brand new website that's really cool. You can do online booking. So I've taken a little bit of the stress off of me and kind of been able to automate that. So I definitely think this past year has been like the feeling of just a little bit of relief and consistency, and it feels really good.
So are you finding that other businesses are pretty collaborative, like people in your genre, let's say?
Yeah.
So how does that work? How do you guys all get together and kind of help each other, promote each other?
Yeah, no, I think it is. And that's one of my biggest, I use that word a lot because I do find it very important. I always say collaboration over competition. I think it's important to support one another and grow one another. And so anytime I have an idea or other people have an idea, we just reach out to other businesses, kind of almost that simply. Like, I'll just use, like I said, the most recent one we did with it was Freckles and Tomcat, and we just reached out and said, hey, we'd love to help your organization. We have this idea. We'd like to teach classes, but donate the funds. And they loved the idea. It was awesome. We had puppy yoga, so that was super fun. And then it just kind of depends. If people are interested, they'll reach out. I often reach out to different places and see if they want to try to do something, whether it be for money or fundraising purposes. Billings is pretty collaborative that way.
Well, that's really good to hear.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you started, you weren't sure about any of this, right?
None of it. No, I wasn't. It's a day by day, right? It's really a day by day. I feel like I learn something new every month. Absolutely. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So looking back on your journey so far, what would you say are I guess the highlights? You know, we talked about, you know, you're finally feeling like this year is starting to get a little more momentum.
Yeah.
But what are the things that you can look back on and say, wow, that was really something that was a turning point or something that really helped me?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think just a highlight too is, to be honest, just being proud to be able to say that I took a risk. I think it's really important to empower yourself to do those things sometimes, because it can be hard, right? You know, if I didn't decide to make this choice, I could be in a very different spot in my life, because I think fear holds us back a little bit. So definitely encourage people, or a highlight for me is just realizing I made the right decision. And right now realizing that it truly is something that's needed in Billings. I've been able to confidently say that just with seeing how many people are utilizing the space and enjoying it, right? It was something that's been needed. So that's really a really neat feeling to just know that I'm being a part of that and helping that. And just being able to do what I love every day. I really do love it. I really do love it.
Well, and a lot of people maybe spend their time after work doing things they enjoy instead of working in something they really love.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've been able to kind of bridge that gap.
I have. Yeah, I have. It doesn't come with it. I mean, it has its challenges like anything. You have to weigh pros and cons and what going into business for you looks like, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
So looking back, are there things that you wish you would have done differently? You know, we can maybe have some examples for people thinking about starting a business, things you wish you would have done.
Oh, knew how much remodeling costs.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, truly, that, I mean, opening your own business and the cost to remodel and install lights and plumbing was crazy. So a better understanding of those types of things would have been great in the beginning, but we're here now, right? We're running. But you know, you have holdups, or it complicates things if you don't always kind of know certain things when you're getting into it. But overall, it really felt like a really good time in my life and good alignment. So I don't have a whole lot of, you know, I wish I would have done this differently. I think you fail forward. I think you learn as you grow, and that's just really been what's happened to me over the years.
So where do you see things going in the next 5 years, 10 years with your business?
Expansion is what I'm very hoping.
Okay.
Yes,
so tell us about that.
That is something that I dream about right now. So I would love to have either 2 locations, or there is a spot right next to me that could possibly be an opportunity in the future, because right now it's one space. And so most people, if you're familiar with fitness, usually people like that right in the morning or right after work time, and those get really popular really fast. So I have a lot of other availability right now. I have some mornings and sometimes like right after school that would be great for people maybe with kids or who have offerings for things like that. But right now I would love a location that I can offer like 5:30, 6:30 p.m. times more frequently. So that is something that I would love to do. Also just, you know, I have ideas brewing. I have ideas, I'll just say that, brewing of, you know, other businesses that you could kind of have within Pura Vida as well if I expanded.
Well, and maybe this is just my own imagination, but I could see you leading retreats to places like Costa Rica and other places too.
I like where your head's at.
I could see you, just because of your passion for movement and culture, I could see that being a fun offering. Maybe
it would be.
Just
Let's put
dream.
It, I love it. Okay, well, we'll come along for it, but we'll also put that in the universe. Yeah, that is, I like that. I do.
So if somebody were looking to start a business, okay, they want to start in Billings, how would you suggest they go about it? Because sometimes people don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, I didn't either, though.
Okay.
I really didn't. Yeah, I have to be honest. I was very blessed. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I had a little bit of guidance from that perspective. Obviously nothing like opening a studio, but I could ask questions to very close people in my life. I recommend reaching out to a mentor if you have it, or someone in that similar business. Most people are really willing to have a conversation about how they got started. You know, I got to give a shout out. There's a really great location downtown, Rock 31. They have been open for a few years now, I think. And they're all about helping entrepreneurs. You can go in there. They have a lot of different connections for you, or they'll point you in the right direction. That is solely what they are. They're a hub for that. So it's really neat. If no one has ever heard of that, they really should check out Rock 31. And finding networking groups. That's been another big thing for me. Finding people, like-minded people, people that are in professional businesses and you want to aspire to be. Reaching out to them, finding those connections, that's been huge in my understanding and growth in my own business.
Well, and we all know that sometimes there can be just hard days, hard times. Who do you go to when you just need a little bit of support and encouragement? You just seem like you're kind of a rock. Like, people would come to you for the support and encouragement, but you must need a little bit of bolstering.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we all do. We all do, right? You know, that would be, I've mentioned them before, but family and closest friends, they really are, you know, or take a walk. I think there's a lot to be said, you know, because movement is what I'm so passionate about. It does relieve a lot of different stresses in your life too. Sometimes you can just get away from the situation, take a deep breath, walk. But yeah, my family and friends are definitely the people that I rely on and can talk me off that ledge or just give me that helping hand.
Well, and you've been a lifelong Billings resident. You told us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah.
What do you love about Billings?
Just it's been really cool to see how much it's grown over the last few years. I think that's been super neat, especially from being here. I can't lie. I remember going and being like, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do, you know, but I think that's just being young too. But there's so much to do. I love the outdoor aspect of it though. Really, I was just this morning, I was up on that new like Highline Trail in Billings. So anything outdoor, anything activity wise, because our surroundings, the rims are just beautiful. And that's one of my favorite things to do. I go to Norm's Island a lot. So anything regarding the outdoors is definitely what I love about it.
Do you have dogs that you take there to Norm's Island?
Funny enough, right now I don't, but I do Rover part-time. So if you don't know what Rover is, that's like the dog walking. So I'm a big pet person too. So I do a lot of dog walking and things like that. Yep.
So people who are new here, what would you say they should do to get involved with the community? What would be your advice?
Come to Pura Vida first. I mean, I have to say that. Come take a fitness class. I see that a lot, though. I see a lot of posts, I don't know if you do, Nancy, where people are like, I'm new to town. What should I do? So I recommend there's a few groups that I absolutely love. I do shout out Pura Vida. I say if you're looking for movement, like come check out the studio. There's lots of great classes. But Babes Support Babes in Billings is a really neat group. It's women, a lot of women-based, or it is women-based, excuse me. And it's just, again, a great place for you to connect with like-minded women, all different backgrounds. So you're gonna find a friend in there. There's like Women Who Explore Montana, which is a great group. So again, if you like to get out the outdoors. And then Wine, Women, and Wealth is another one that I really like. Okay. So those are what I recommend, because that's kind of where I'm at in life right now, and definitely kind of wanting to connect with women right now is where like I really
you are just
solid.
Such a breath of fresh air. It's been so fun getting to know you today. What a delight. And it sounds like your studio is amazing. Before we go, why don't you give us the website? Yes,
so it's www.puravitastudioBillings.com. So a bit of a mouthful, but puravitastudioBillings.com.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time on All About Billings.